In Sketch, nothing gets in the way of your layers more than your layers do. Some layers will block other layers, some layers will be irrelevant at the time that you're editing other layers, and with that there are ways for us to group layers together and manage them better. In this video I'm working with the weathericons.sketch file, and you can see here that each icon is made up of several elements. One thing I'll bring to your attention at this point is a really handy shortcut in Sketch. Command 1 will show your entire design area. Command 2 will take your selection and zoom into it. It can be really helpful for isolating and working with only a few objects on your canvas. It's also easier than zooming and moving around all the time. With this partly cloudy icon, we have 4 pieces. We've got our background circle, we've got a cloud here, we've got a sun here, and another cloud here. Now with these things overlapping, things can start to get a little tricky, especially if we had a 4th, 5th, or even 6th object in this kind of confined space. Let's say for now that we just want to focus on the sun, the appearance of the sun and the gradient that runs through it. These clouds are kind of in the way, although this is where they're ultimately going to end up, so I don't want to move them from where they are right now. So what I'll do is with a layer selected, over here on the layers list, if you mouse over a layer, you can see a little eyeball to the right of the name of the layer. That eyeball allows you to hide a layer. If the eyeball is turned on, meaning it displays when you move away from it, that means the layer is hidden. It's there to catch your attention. If you don't see an eyeball, that means the layer's already visible. So now we've isolated the sun, and now we can edit it without having any problems whatsoever. Now let's say the circle in the background is for sure where it's going to need to be. We're not going to be moving it around, and we want to make sure that we don't accidentally move it or accidentally edit it. To lock a layer, click on Arrange, and then Lock Layer. With a layer locked, you can't accidentally move it around. I do this often with backgrounds and things that are behind other things that I don't need to be moving around, that I don't want to move around by accident. To unlock a layer, you can look at the list panel and you'll find that there is a little lock that you can click on to unlock that layer. So unlocking is even easier than locking. It's just like unhiding. So let's unhide these 2 clouds, and let's say that all 3 of these objects now need to be grouped together. Nothing is locked and nothing is hidden. So I'm going to click and drag in order to make a selection of all of these objects, and now I'm going to group them together. One way to group things is by pressing Command G, although you could go to Arrange and choose Group Layers. I would get very familiar with the shortcut Command G, because we do it an awful lot. To ungroup, you can do Shift Command G, but I'm going to hit Undo just to go back to the way things were. So with these items grouped together, by default, a group behaves as though we've glued all of these objects together. Now when I go to move one, they all move together. There are several ways to get into an object within a group. One is to visit the layers list, click the triangle next to the group, and select the object directly on the layers list. Another way to do it is to hold the Command key, which allows you to click through a group. You'll notice because my group is already selected, it might be a little stubborn. You may have to click more than once in order for it to get you inside. If you're having trouble getting inside a group, you can also click away from that group and then hover back over it holding the Command key. That works every time. If you find it frustrating or tedious to hold the Command key each time you want to click an object inside a group, there's another option. When creating a group, the inspector gives you options for that group, one of which is click through when selecting. What that means is if you have the box checked, they're still grouped together on the layers panel, but it doesn't behave as though they're glued together. Now when I select a layer, it's as though it's not grouped, giving me the benefit of keeping my layers organized over here on the layers list, but not getting in the way when I try to select things. Throughout this course, sometimes we'll be creating groups to stay organized, sometimes we'll be creating groups so that things stay together, but we'll handle that on a case-by-case basis.